Welcome, everyone, to another Wednesday night, Fundamentals to Gain Inner Peace, with your host, Coach Menachem. And we're doing tonight, with Hashem's help, episode number 74. And all the recordings are available on menachembernfeld.com. So if it's the first time listening to this, you can listen and then to understand a little bit more, look back on the other Wednesday nights and follow us. So before we start, first we want to thank our sponsor, OK Clarity. OK Clarity is the place to find top-notch therapists or a coach, nutritionists. They're professionals, are vetted, and have extensive experience working with the Jewish community. If you're in the market for a therapist, coach, or the like, or if you're a wellness professional looking to get more online exposure, go check them out, okclarity.com. And they have a WhatsApp status you can join. The number is 917-426-1494, 917-426-1494. And join their status and enjoy it. Okay, so for tonight, our question, whether stress is something that's internal or external, which we'll talk about in a minute. But before we start, let's spend a minute or two to become mindful. Take a deep breath. Where am I? How am I feeling? Where am I coming from? And maybe I'm listening to the recording and it's the first thing in the morning. Or you're here with us tonight and you've had a full day. Look back at your day, see how you feel. Become aware of the room you're sitting in, the chair you're sitting on, how it feels. And slowly you come into the room. You become mindful, you become present in the here, in the now. For a few minutes, let's put everything on the side, which could be a struggle for many. And then we go internal. Let's see how we feel inside. How do I feel inside? Do I feel stress, overwhelmed? Do I feel any pain? Am I relaxed? How does my face feel? My jaws, my shoulders, my stomach, my feet, just to become aware of where I am. And again, we're not changing anything. We don't need to change anything, just becoming aware of where I am. Beautiful. Okay, so the question, stress, if it's internal or external, the truth is it's not only stress, it's really all the emotions that we discuss. If you feel overwhelmed, angry, sadness, whatever emotion comes up, is it because there's something going on around you, a situation that you're in, somebody is nagging you, some situation out there, or is it the way you look at it? Or it brings up something inside of you, the way you react to it. And I mentioned negative emotions. The same thing could be positive. You can be upbeat, in a good mood, and then stop for a moment and think, why do I feel this way? Is it because something outside of me happened? I'm excited because of A, B, and C, or something outside. I just got a big check, or whatever it is outside of me, or it's something inside, internal. So whichever emotion comes up, it's trying to figure out, is it inside or outside? If you're a beginner and you're here with us the first time, talking and feeling about emotions, sometimes it's hard to understand. I would say take it slow, listen, just become curious, understand what exactly are they talking about? What do you mean by feeling, if it's inside or outside? It does take time. I happened to be by a training this past week where they were discussing these ideas for real beginners. And there were many people there. The presenter he said, we're going to talk about pain, talk about the things that people go through. And many people walked away saying, you know, they don't really have pain. It's interesting to hear that now that I'm in this world, because the truth is there's no such a thing. It doesn't have to be a crazy thing, but everybody has things that doesn't work or they don't like it. Let's mellow the situation. It doesn't have to be pain. But we all have ups and downs. We all have things, but people, especially beginners, are not aware of it. They just take care, whatever they need to do, and make sure that their routine, it just works, and they're doing it for many years. Fine. So it was interesting to hear the feedback. So what I was thinking is, before you open up a person to their emotions, you really have to train them to have compassion, self-compassion, which we discuss a lot. Because automatically things are going to come up, and there's a reason why they don't want to see it. There's a reason why they don't want to feel it, because it hurts. So if you do talk about it and you still slowly ask them, something that bothers them, and go into a deeper why, you ask them questions. First, they have to be able to tell themselves they're okay, even though it's not perfect. Nobody's judging them. Help them not judge themselves. So if you're a beginner, just listen, take it slow. No rush. If you don't understand it today, tomorrow's another day, but it's important. It's hard. It's hard for people who start to talk about the challenges. And another idea that came up was, people could talk about it. They could talk about the challenges, but they don't really let themselves slow down and feel what it feels like. Because they keep themselves, they're always busy and they're always on the go. The reason is because if they stop, they'll slowly become aware, and they're feeling to sit, to relax, to take it easy, to slow down and say, I feel stress, and just breathe. It's hard. So even intellectualizing it could be an escape. Talking about it can be an escape. Again, it's important sometimes to talk about it, but if you find yourself talking about it a lot, wherever you go, and you're constantly discussing it, then it could be, wait a second. What you need to do is stop. Take some time by yourself and just go inside, see how you feel. How do you feel? Where do you feel it? And that takes a lot of exercise, so take it slow. But what we're going to discuss is stress, but again, it's any emotion, positive or negative. Let's see if it's internal or external. So the truth is, they could be both. Things out, circumstances that you're in. It's just easier to see them when they're outside of you. So I'll give you a few examples. And you can stop and think, where in your day do you feel a little bit stressed? Where do you feel a little bit overwhelmed? And become aware of it. So here's a few ideas that I'll mention. And when that thing comes up, just become aware. So for example, number one, work-related. How do you feel at work? Another example is financial. What comes up? How do you feel when you have to take care of your finances? Another example is relationships. Whoever it is, wherever it is, how do you feel? Another example is the news. That's outside of you. If somebody watches the news, they can feel stressed and overwhelmed, worried, and who knows what's next if you watch a lot of the news. So that's something outside of you, and it's easy to pinpoint. Another example is health related for people who are not well. If it brings up stress, how they deal with it. Time management. If you're always overwhelmed, there's so much you need to do. You're always in a rush. You don't really get things done. So that's stress. Social. When you meet people, or some people you do, you feel better. Some people you don't. Become aware of with who you do and with who you don't, how you feel. Another idea is technology. Today's days with technology, some people are not even aware of it. In the, many years ago, not too long ago, you lived in your house, not much going on. You had maybe a phone connected to the wall. Once in a while, somebody called you, so you get to hear what's going on. Again, if you didn't have a television, so for those people sitting in front of a television. But today, with email, with technology that we have, our phones, with WhatsApp, we get information all around the world in a minute. So even if it's not bad news, that's something else. I'm not talking about bad news, but you're so overwhelmed. There's so much going on in a minute, and us humans, we're not ready for it. And if we're not aware of it, it only gets worse, because the technology, the people out there are working very fast to up the game. And for us, it just makes it more and more stressful. So these are some ideas that you can think about. Where in my external world around me do I feel stressful? And if it comes up again, we don't have to fix it now, but just write it down so you can you're ahead of the game. You say this, this area, this is where I feel stressful. Okay, fine. At least you're aware, so we're ahead of the game. Now I'll give you some examples that are internal. This is much harder to see, much harder to face, become aware, but we discussed many of them, but it's important. So number one, negative self-talk. That's the voice inside of you. A person puts himself down, always puts himself down, criticizes himself. So that can cause a lot of stress. No matter what you do, it's no good. That's perfectionism. Perfectionism is really stressful. No matter what you do, even if somebody else sees it and says, wow, it's amazing, but you only see the lack. You only see what's missing. You only see the part that you still have to do, that you still didn't do. Well, that's pretty stressful. That's hard. So that's perfectionism, fear of failure or rejection. I think my Einikel is calling me over there, saying hello to my Einikel Esther in the middle of my Wednesday night. Waves to everyone. Thank you very much. Hello. Beautiful. Anyways, so we have perfectionism, and all of these things are inside of us. That's not external. Nobody sees it. Your world could look perfect on the outside. And when people see you, they're amazed. How do you manage? But these are all inside, stresses that are inside of us. So fear of failure and rejection is a constant stress. Imagine walking around and trying to see, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? What are people going to say? People pleasing. Yeah, we discussed if you can't say no, people ask you for favors, you're always there to help them, which sounds amazing, but it could be it's coming from a place of I just can't say no. I can't say no. I can't help them, but I can't say no. So I just have to help them. What should I do? What's going to happen if you tell you not available? Can't. low self-esteem, or negative self-image. These are things that need to be worked on. But if somebody has very low self-esteem, their whole day could be stressful, just not because things are not working out. Their life could be amazing, but deep down they feel like, I'm not good enough. I'm not, and that could be very stressful. A lack of self-care, which discussed a lot, self-compassion, and poor time management, like we discussed before. So that's also could be, it sounds external, but it could be internal because you're procrastinating, pushing things off, not getting things done. And it's all a thought, a belief inside of you. And then obviously there are those things that people went through when they were young, past traumas, unresolved emotional issues, which many times you need a therapist for that. Hard to do it on your own, but it controls, the way you feel about yourself. Again, that could be from 7 years old, 10 years old. It's just the way you feel about yourself. No matter what you do, no matter what people tell you, no matter how successful you are, you're always walking around with that inner feeling, and that can cause stress because you're never in a place where you can just be, stop, relax, like what we discuss a lot. It's very hard to just enjoy the moment. I'm working very hard. What am I working for? When am I going to get there? Well, I get there every day. I'm here. I'm not getting there. I am here. So these are the two ways to look at it: the stress, internal or external. Again, it's possible, comes from both. But many times the way we deal with it is the way we look at ourselves and how we feel inside. And I'll give you some examples of situations where two people look at the same situation, but you can look at it in different ways. It all depends how the person feels inside. So one example is you have a tight deadline at work. You have to finish the papers. It's due tonight. You have 2 more hours. How do you feel? Now it's important, just stop for a minute. If you have a deadline, how do you feel? So some people would say it helps them, it motivates them. One person would say, wow, I need it. Without deadlines, I don't get anything done. I need to be motivated. So that's a positive. That's beautiful. It gives them that energy. So they take the time, put it in, do it, and they're finished. Gives them motivation. Others are overwhelmed and they're stressed. And usually what happens, you can't think straight and you don't get it done. Until the last minute, you just, somehow it gets done, but it wasn't really done. But you had to, it's a deadline, so what should you do? So you see, I have two people, same situation, two people. Interesting to see how you feel. So stop for a moment, think, how do you feel when you have a deadline? I'll share for a minute how I feel before a deadline. I start getting nervous. And I've learned already to recognize the feelings, see what am I feeling. And it does help me to prepare. If it's Wednesday night, so you start feeling it in my stomach, what am I going to say tonight? So you have to sit down and prepare. So I've learned to recognize what the feeling is, what's the thought behind it. Maybe the thought is, Menachem, you've discussed everything already. There's nothing more to discuss. I could have that voice. And what am I answering? Well, first, okay, I hear you. I hear. My answer is usually, I'm not here to discuss anything. We're just here to take some time off. Isn't that what I teach? Take it easy, relax. Okay, but what are you going to say? Okay, so that's a deadline. You sit down, you put your thoughts together, see where you are, what's going on, and here we are, presentation, which is beautiful. So Just become aware again how you feel when there's a deadline. Things have to get done. And if there's nobody holding you accountable, it probably wouldn't get done. So if you have a boss that's waiting for the papers, or if you have an audience that's waiting for the class, you got to show up. So that's a deadline that you have to perform. You can't just say tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. You can push it off till a minute before, but then you know what happens. Another example is you're sitting in a traffic jam. It probably would depend what's going on, where you're going. You know, if you have to get to the doctor's appointments or to a very important meeting, you'll probably feel one way. But just to become aware, if you're in traffic, there's nothing you can do. You put it in the Waze, it tells you to go a different way, but you can't. You're not moving. So there's nothing you can do. So one person says, okay, what could I could listen to a podcast, a shir, or sing a song, say some positive affirmations, take a deep breath, relax. A different person just feels frustrated, angry, can't stop. So that's the same situation, two people. And that person that can't stop, the first thing he needs to become aware is that he can't stop for him to get help. But these two people, the same situation, two different reactions. How about another example? If you get constructive criticism from your boss, it's constructive, but it's criticism. What do you look at? What are your thoughts? How do you feel? Some people actually enjoy it. If they go a whole year without talking to their boss, the boss doesn't say anything, they're not sure if their boss is happy with their work. So then again, they have that internal voice. I'm not sure if he's happy. I'm not sure if throwing it up. Well, go talk to him. Well, if you're a boss, then tell them how happy you are. But some people, if he comes and says, you know, I checked all your work, this is amazing, you know, if you could change this to this way over here, do this different. So they feel, okay, at least I know where he is. So they relax. Other people are very nervous. They think, who knows, maybe tomorrow I have to look for a new job. So again, those voices, the same situation. Another example is if you have an argument with a friend, or argument or disagreement with a good friend, and you hang up the phone. How do you feel? So I would say it depends what your relationship is with that friend. But do you walk away with a negative image? Is it external? This is internal. How do you feel? What are your voices? Or maybe it's a good way to see what they're thinking. You become closer. They're thinking about something in a different way, which you thought totally the opposite. But at least now you can connect to them. You understand what they're thinking, so you can talk to them. Or you can have open communications, say, I hear you, but for me, it works differently. But that should make it stronger. So does it strengthen the relationship? Or I'm not going to talk to them for another few days. Who knows how long it's going to take? Two ways to look at it. And the last example for tonight is dealing with a member in the family that's sick. There's a lot of examples that you could think of. It's hard. Again, it's not easy. So some people, they look at it as an opportunity. They can be there to support, take care of them, whatever it is. Others feel overwhelmed and stressed. It's just too hard. So these are some examples. You have two people, same situation. One person sees positive, one negative. One feels positive, and one negative. So like we said, these feelings, a lot of them are from what's going on around you. But most of it is the way you look at it, the way you feel. And an interesting concept is that we really mirror off what we see from the outside, how we feel. So it tells us how we feel about that situation. For example, a person that's always scared, fearful, so they see the world as a scary place. Wherever they go, they're scared. That energy they bring wherever they go. And whatever they see that part of like, wow, it's so scary. I don't know. It's very fearful. It's like a mirror. How you feel, that's how you see the world. And they bring it also from the Baal Shem Tov. If you see something, know that there's a reason why you see it. So he says in a way that there's a reason why you're seeing things. But it could go even deeper. The way you see it. The way you see it is something to do with you. Okay, let's not forget the self-compassion. Don't start knocking yourself now. Just we're becoming aware and you're still okay. It's okay. We're becoming aware of that I'm walking around stressful. Okay. So just become aware of it. Tell us if you're okay. We're human. It's okay. If somebody's angry person, probably a lot of things in his day, he's frustrated. A lot of people make him angry. Wherever you go, there's angry situations. What we hold inside of us, it colors our world. That's how we color the world. What we hold inside of us, how we feel. So once we become aware that it doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be real, it's not reality. It's just the way I see it. We can slowly learn how to let go of those thoughts. If I expect everybody to do what I want, then automatically wherever you go, you're going to be upset and frustrated because it's not going to work out exactly the way you want. So maybe we can change that. Maybe things don't have to go exactly the way you want. I'm sure you want it, but maybe not. So if we're focused on that parts and the parts of us that we're not in touch, repressed emotions, repressed or suppressed, whether we're in touch with those emotions or not, if we're not in touch, it comes up. We start feeling that way. So it's a good idea when to sit down and say, how do I feel during the day? Even if negative things come up, that's okay. How do I see the world? What do I experience? Why do I always feel a certain way? That's okay. You're becoming aware. So a lot of things that we discussed in the past help to become aware of it, to become aware of the internal feelings, whether it's self-awareness, doing some relaxation techniques, doing some exercise also helps become aware of our mood, feel better. And just take some time to breathe, just deep breathing, relax. But the interesting thing is, if it has to do with our thoughts, with the way we look at things, so then we can change it. It's not so hard to change it. Once we become aware that we have those negative thoughts, negative images, negative emotions, we could stop, become aware of what we're feeling, and saying, wait a second. Maybe I can change that voice to a positive voice, to a positive image. Maybe there's something positive that I can see there. And I'll focus on that because it is our choice. Ultimately, it's our choice what we want to focus on. It might be raining outside. Okay, but I have a warm tea with me. Which one do you feel? Is it the rain or the tea? The positive or the negative? So when you're talking about the rain the whole time, say, wait a second. Maybe I can start feeling some positives, warm, just be with yourself for a few minutes. So I'm going to read now just a few positive affirmations, which could help change the way we feel. We don't have too much time, but I'll read it. You can always do it slower when you have time to relax and let it go inside. So here we have some positive affirmations, some examples. I choose to focus on the positive things in my life. I trust that everything will work out for the best. I am worthy and deserving of love and respect. I am capable and strong. I am confident in my abilities and decisions. I am grateful for all of the good things in my life, and I choose to feel. I want to feel grateful. I release all the fear and worry and trust in Hashem. I choose to let go of negative thoughts and emotions. I want to think of positive ones. That's it. You make a switch. I am at peace with myself and the world around me. I'm okay. I'm open to receiving love, abundance, and happiness. Instead of focusing on the lack, on the things that you don't have, you're open to receive. This is just changing the thoughts. That's it for tonight. And please use what works for you. Any questions, you can always send them in, coachmenachem@gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. And I see we have one question. You can unmute and ask.
Now, I just wanted you to repeat that whole thing that you said, because I'm writing it down.
The positive affirmations?
Yeah.
Which number are you up to?
No, I don't know. I got stopped in the middle.
Okay.
Maybe
so
you could.
I could send you the recordings.
Okay, great.
Send you the recording. Again, you can all
Thank you.
sign up. If you don't get the emails, sign up to the emails. The recordings are available at menachembernfeld.com. Over there, you get the Wednesday night recordings. Any questions, or you can send me an email to Coach Menachem, and I'll add you to the list. CoachMenachem@gmail.com. Questions, anything that comes up, any awareness. And take care of yourself. Thank yourself for taking some time off, for taking care of yourself. Have a good night and a great week.